Well, hey there. Sorry to interrupt this podcast as we were just getting started, but I have to tell you something super exciting. We opened the Myo Business Accelerator program early. How exciting is that? Perhaps you were one of the people reaching out wondering when our highly anticipated business course would open. So if you're multitasking, you're going to want to pay attention. The Myo Business Accelerator, or as I like to call it, the MBA program, is a step-by-step business and mindset program for trained myofunctional therapists who are ready to build a profitable, sustainable practice, even if they don't have any business experience and only have a few hours a week to spare. Inside this program, I will teach you the Profitable Practice Framework, a 6-stage process designed to help you confidently set up your systems, attract the right clients, sell your services like a pro, and create consistent income, all while staying in control of your time, your energy, and your life. Now, this isn't just a marketing course. It's a practical, confidence-building roadmap to help you go from stuck and unsure to paid and booked with as many clients as you want. If you are ready to stop wondering where to start and start building a business that you are actually excited about, then this program is for you. But here's the thing, my friend, enrollment is only open for a short period of time, and we are offering a once-in-a-lifetime founders member pricing that you will never see again once we close the cart. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, be sure to check the show notes for the link. Now let's get back to the podcast. Hey, I'm Carmen, and welcome to Myo Life. That's short for My Outrageous Life, which is exactly the kind of life I get to live since I found the courage to ditch dental hygiene and build a life I'm bonkers about as a myofunctional therapist and entrepreneur. Here you will find all the things myo, business, and how to build a life that you too are bonkers about. I'm very happy you're here. Shall we dive in? Well, hello, friend, and welcome back to the Myo Life Podcast. Let me guess. You're tired. Not just end of the day tired. I'm talking soul tired. You used to love hygiene, or maybe you never really did, like yours truly, but now you're running on autopilot and you really just all the way to your bones feel like you want something different. More purpose, more meaning, more time to actually help people, and you don't want to start over from scratch. So maybe you've been eyeing myofunctional therapy, but your brain keeps chiming in with unhelpful thoughts like, you can't quit hygiene just yet, you need the money, you can't do that, you got bills to pay. Cool. I get it. You don't have to. Today, I'm walking you through exactly how to start exploring a career in myofunctional therapy without quitting your hygiene job. Yet. Or maybe never. Just depends. Totally depends on whether you want to or not. This is the episode for the hygienist who's craving more purpose, more passion, and more possibility without throwing the baby out with the bathwater, okay? I remember when I was just starting working in hygiene, and it was like all about the paycheck, which is partially why I stayed in hygiene so long, is because I need to get paid, and I totally get it. And that's really one of the biggest things that holds a lot of interested dental hygienists back, is they just don't think that they have the time. They need that hygiene income because, let's face it, not everybody just has $100 bills stacking up in the safe, right? Many also just wonder if they can even do it. So here's what I want to tell you. Every single successful student inside the Ditch Hygiene Academy started in this same exact place. So spoiler alert, you're normal, okay? You can do this. The thing is, you don't have to quit hygiene. You just have to start myofunctional therapy, okay? So let's talk about that. You can learn while you're still in the op. In fact, I want you to, okay? Because that's where you're going to get to practice conversations and looking around and being able to just kind of get your feet wet. You also can earn tens of thousands of dollars while still doing hygiene. That's exactly what I did. This isn't about jumping ship. It's about building something solid enough so that one day you don't need that ship anymore. That is exactly what I did. If you know anything about my story, I was working 3 12-hour days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was commuting 3 hours a day. Okay, so I had Mondays and Fridays. So I started building my business in the margins of my life. Now, I needed out of hygiene. I was having heart palpitations on the way to work. I was miserable, so I needed out. My friend, I set a 5-year goal to leave hygiene, and I had my first paying client in May of that year. I cut back to part-time in July, and then 13 months later, the next August, I was out. Okay, so please know that you do not have to follow my path. You get to do it however you want. But remember, the Ditch Hygiene Academy is named because people want to ditch hygiene, okay? It was created to give you the fastest path from burnout and boredom to earning a living, okay? You are totally in charge of how fast or slow you get to go. Even if you're working full time, you can do this, okay? So let's talk about how you will, what I will say, start smart, okay? Even with a full-time schedule. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to block off 3 to 5 hours a week to start learning. Not 20. We're not practicing perfection here. We're not studying for our hygiene boards. Just 3 to 5 hours a week, okay? Now, you might be thinking I don't have time. And this is one of everybody's favorite all-time excuse. And I'm going to just be very clear with you here right now, friend. You are absolutely welcome to fight for your limitations, but I am not going to. I have not met a single person who wanted change bad enough that they couldn't carve out 3 hours a week. And if you won't, then with all due respect, I'm not even sure why you're here. Because you're never going to move forward. You're just going to spiral around the dream. So I want you to ask yourself, how much time do you spend on social media? Bet you can find 3 hours. How much time do you spend consuming other people's content instead of creating something of your own? My friend, if you want different, you have to do different. Let me say that again for those in the back. If you want something different, if you want to build a life that you are absolutely bonkers about, a life like I have built where I am in total control of my calendar, my wallet, I'm building wealth, I have geographic freedom, that requires you to do something different. Now, also, shameless plug, if you are somebody who wants extra support and you are listening to this in real life, in real time when it comes out, then you definitely want to make sure that you join the Ditch Hygiene Academy in September, where I am going to be leading supported September sprint, okay, which is a fully supported, stick you in my back pocket, hold your hand and lead you through stage 1, which is all the foundations of Myo, so that you are ready to hit the ground running in January with your first paying client. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out how to do this transition, then you definitely want to take advantage of that bonus. Okay, now I'm done shameless plugging. So first, you're going to block off 3 to 5 hours a week. Then number 2, you're going to do your Myo Math, okay? You've heard me talk about this before. Figure out your freedom number. What is your enough? What is that bare bones, bottom line, cheapest that you can get by that gives you some breathing room, okay? Do you know this number? It is really important for you to know. A great example is one of my coaching clients was working a full-time job and she only needed like 14 hours a week to pay her bills. That gave her plenty of freedom time to work on her business, okay? Now, you might not be interested in replacing all of your hygiene income right away, okay? Maybe you're just wanting to have a little bit extra, okay? That gives you control. That little bit of extra earnings gives you more control over your calendar and your energy, Okay, so do the math. Do your Myo Math. Know what that number is. If you only need to work 15 hours a week, by golly, don't be working 40, okay? It's just not going to give you a lot of margin to chase this dream. Also, remember, it depends really on what you're wanting to do, okay? Like I said, you get to choose the pace at which you do this. If you are hating hygiene, if you are so bored and burnout and it is just not filling your cup, then you probably want to focus on getting out of hygiene a little bit faster than, say, somebody who has enrolled in my program just because they want to breathe some fresh air into their career and continue their hygiene job and continue helping people. Okay, so you have to just kind of figure out what your ulterior motive is. And then the third thing is going to be to take ugly imperfect action. Now, inside the Ditch Hygiene Academy, I teach you how to launch a minimum viable program. And that's basically just a fancy way of saying the most basic, helpful version of your services, okay? You don't waste time building out perfection and all the things. You get your education down, which is what I help you with in the Supported September Sprint. You get that foundation down, that stage 1, those first initial 8 lessons, which are so important. And then you are ready to start helping people, okay? Much like when you started cleaning teeth, you just had to start. You didn't know how to do it perfectly. So that's exactly how you're going to do it. So let's talk about how this actually is done, okay? So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to start your learning. This is a biggie. So this is your myo learning, taking the lessons about things like what is an orofacial myofunctional disorder? You know, how do I identify it? What are the goals of therapy? Tongue ties, frenectomies, airway focused orthodontics, sleep disordered breathing, all of those things. Those are the big, huge pillars, okay? You got to do your learning. My friend, you have to stay in the material. And by that, I mean, don't take an hour and watch part of a lesson and not come back to it until a month later. This is like trying to read a book that takes you all year. This is very challenging for my students. And so I always encourage everybody, I don't care what pace you're working at, but stay in the material. Stay in the material so that when you come back to a lesson, you know what you were just learning, okay? And for the love, stop multitasking. I get so frustrated with students that will tell me that they're not as far along as they would like to be. And that's because they are multitasking, meaning they're listening to a lesson on sleep disordered breathing while they're making dinner or while they're folding laundry or while they're doing something else. You cannot multitask and learn some of the most important things in this field. You just can't. It's a complete waste of time. You have to be all in, all ears, taking notes, watching the slides, paying attention, okay? Next, you're going to decide when you can see clients. So this is going to be setting your schedule. This probably seems so foreign right now, but this is the first thing that you will do. And the reason this is going back to my example when I was building my business on Mondays and Fridays, when I started having conversations with people about myofunctional therapy and they said, wow, I need to book an exam with you. When do you see clients? I knew exactly that I was seeing clients on Mondays and Fridays, okay? So that is exactly what you will do. So that 3 to 5 hours that you blocked out for your learning, that's also where you will start seeing clients. So you will start treating that time as client time, okay? Long before you have clients. You will next start telling people that you can help them. So once I get you through stage 1, that is just really the meat and potatoes, okay? So then at that point, you can be telling people, hey, I can help you. You're going to get your business basics set up. We don't have to start the full-blown business. We just need to make sure you are legal and you have a way to get paid, okay? You're going to start earning money. And then eventually you can trade one day of hygiene for what I like to call a whiteboard day in your business. So that's a free day. You don't trade a day of hygiene to go to the pool. Not if you want to build a life that you're bonkers about. You trade that day of hygiene so that you have more business time. Or if you start getting busier, then you trade that day of hygiene so that you can now have another day to offer to clients, okay? And this is really the point where hygienists really start to consider part-time or temp work. The nice thing about working part-time or doing temp work is it gives you more control over your calendar. So you have time to build your business, but also you're in control and you can kind of dial it back. That's all that happened to me is I just dialed it back. And really, I started wondering, like, where's all this money coming from? And I just forgot, oh yeah, I still have a paycheck, okay? So that's just kind of how you titrate your way out of hygiene. I always tell my students, you're never going to trade dollar for dollar because at some point you're going to have to open up more time in your schedule for clients before you can replace every dollar with hygiene. But in all honesty, you guys, my students that have retired from hygiene, they followed the framework that I taught them. They did everything that I taught them. And they were just so in love with myofunctional therapy that it was just such a nice, easy transition. You know, they were making more money in myofunctional therapy, so they could afford to cut back in hygiene, okay? So the biggest takeaway for you, my friend, is you do not have to quit hygiene today, okay? You don't even have to be ready to quit. You just have to be willing to take one small step towards something that actually excites you, okay? And if you're still here listening, then I think that's you. So if that's the case, then absolutely the Ditch Hygiene Academy is where you want your butt to be, okay? Your future self is going to be so glad that you didn't wait. So stop hiding behind the excuses that I don't have time, I don't know how to do this. All those things, we're going to help you with all of that kind of stuff. And life is never going to get any less busy, my friend. So you might as well start your myofunctional therapy career while you still have the comfort of hygiene. And then you get to do it at your own pace. So that is it, my friend. I will be back with you soon to talk about some more myofunctional therapy business goodness.